everyone, welcome. This is episode 80. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I'm here with a new friend, Brendalyn King. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Anna.
So we met last year about this time at Frizz Fest, and Frizz Fest is an amazing, like the largest Black owl natural skin and hair care festival. It's
Mhm.
incredible. So I was a vendor with my like aromatherapy and like essential oils last year, and you came in. Portia was helping me. Portia was on this the podcast too, and she was like, Anna, you need to meet Brendalyn right now. And so that was such a beautiful connection. And yeah, will you introduce yourself? Will you share a little bit about you?
Absolutely. And first of all, the thing I remember is your sound bowl that you had because it was so beautiful, and I was drawn to your tent because of that. So thank you
Oh,
for being who you are out in the world.
thank you.
I'm so glad to be here. My name is Brendalyn King. I'm an executive leadership coach, a land steward, and founder of several initiatives. My initiatives sit at the intersection of healing, leadership, and reparative justice. I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and after I attended Metro High School, I went off to New York City and became the extrovert that I never was here. Um, in 2020, I returned to the Midwest to start my journey as a farmer. After being diagnosed with fibroids in New York City, I decided to go on a natural healing path for myself. And I think the theme that I want to make sure our listeners get today is that healing is selfish. And in
Mhm.
order to heal myself, I had to be selfish. And I realized that healing was not only essential for me, but how could I create a space for others to heal as well? And so I started on a land journey quest. I wanted to be a land steward. I found a piece of property in Southern Illinois at the height of the pandemic in 2020, also right when our brother George Floyd was getting murdered, and found myself in a sundown town in Illinois that had all this history of not letting people of color there after the sun went down. But yet here I am, April 2020, starting a new farm there with no friction. We made friends quickly, we got our feet into
Ooh.
the industry, and farming never stopped. Unfortunately, 6 months later, my land deal fell through in Illinois, so I was on a quest again to find another piece of property to continue my dream of having spaces for healing and wellness. And so I ended up purchasing 244 acres of land in the Missouri Ozarks. And that land is called Lake Placid, Missouri, and it was once known as Missouri's first Black resort. So I see my work through this larger vision of reparations, restoring land, wellness, and economic power to Black communities. And I do that through my hemp company, my nonprofit organization, and my coaching practice. I help people realign themselves with land, and my mission is to create spaces to honor rest and reconnection. And that's a little bit about me.
Fire. Oh my God. Oh, this is so good. Leadership, healing, reparations, justice, period.
Yes.
I love the idea of healing as selfish, girl. When did that really click for you?
It was probably when I remember at the property that we own now, I was standing on a fallen electric pole and looking out at like a beautiful landscape, but it was rocky, hilly, very natural Ozarks, but it was
Okay.
farmland. And I had farmland at the first property in Illinois, and I felt myself in a moment of what is this land for if it's not flat farmland? And it just immediately came to me of like, the retreat space that you needed to heal yourself is here. This is that space. And dreams can come true if you're willing to be selfish for the thing you need. And that's, I was kind of questioning the like, do dreams really come true? Like this has been my dream to create a retreat space, and it
Ah,
I realize that it's only true if I'm willing to grab it and say, yes, mine right here. This is where I can heal. And it had to be an I, it had to be a me, I can do this, because from there then I can share it with others. But it took that selfish act first.
mm. Yes, the retreat space. And when you're given the dream or the vision, like it's for you. It didn't go to her. You got the download. And so it would be almost like selfless if you don't, right? Like that would be kind of scandalous if you don't go out and get what you were given and like what you were supposed to see.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. Looking back, I see it so clearly, and yet I remember that moment of doubt of like, maybe I should find flat farmland. That's what I'm doing already. And forgetting that that was just the first stop. That was our test run. That was a blueprint. That was a practice for what came next.
Ooh, the test run and the blueprint, girl. Yeah, that really speaks to me like in terms of land and even like the types of land, right? When people think of farms, they definitely think of flat and gardens and food and like cows and chickens. But like mountainous terrain or cliffs or whatever, that would be like harder to grow on, like hypothetically, right? But also in terms of like the people and what they could do, or even the animals, like hiking and like exercise and views and perspective and like fresh air and the wind and like the sunsets and the sunrises, like that would be so much more conducive to our growth.
Yes, yes, exactly. And that's what I want to create out on the property. It's exactly that. And when my friends and family come visit, I take them around our property, and there's a moment where you can see the sun setting on the property, and one of my cousins was like, "This was just the perfect day. I got some exercise in, I got to learn some things, and now the just the
Yeah.
setting itself is pristine." And thus, yeah, that's what land stewardship is, exposing people to the natural elements of God's earth.
Exactly, exposing people. And it's interesting because you said you kind of became an extrovert in New York City, which makes a lot of sense because you kind of gotta be. It's loud, it's active, people are transient, like they're always like out here. Um, but then also like exposing people to like the earth and like the gifts of this land. And I love that your business works with the land. So the hemp company, your nonprofit, will you share a little bit more about those?
Yes, so I'll start with Salem Hemp Kings, really born out of that first town that we started in Illinois, an homage to our beginning. Why not keep the name, even though we're not there?
Yeah,
And we went to we left New York for a larger reason that hasn't been fully manifested yet, and that
sure.
larger reason was to ensure that we taught young people how to build sustainable homes with industrial hemp. We want to get into the uses of industrial hemp, what that looks like in building construction materials.
Mm,
And there's so many uses from this plant that we knew
yeah.
we had to make the move to just get our foot in the industry as it's just starting to ramp up. On our way towards industrial hemp, we've been learning about the different strains of the plant, whether that be the THC strain of cannabis that is recreationally legal here in Missouri, or whether it be the CBD strains of the plant, which provides that healing medicinal use. And so I'm proud to say that we grow CBD and we make products that allow people to have relief from pain and inflammation.
Mm,
So that's the hemp company. And then the nonprofit, the 501(c)(3), we are the Center for Authentic Listening and Learning, CALL, CALL, CALL for short. And we exist to allow people to have access to the story and the Black stories at Lake Placid, which is historically Missouri's first Black resort. We
Ooh,
are educating on that history, and we are working on partnerships so that we can create spaces on the land for retreat.
yes. Okay, that's amazing. Lake Placid as Missouri's first Black resort, and it's wild because Missouri, I'm from California. Missouri is a massive, like, important state. You know what I'm saying? The Missouri Compromise, we were the 13th, the last one to, like, sign up. And then also another friend of mine, Alana Woodson, she created a documentary on Kinloch. And that was like the first Black city in America with like all Black public schools and like businesses and everything. And guess what? It was bought up by the airport. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, oh, we need to build the airport. We need this land. And they started taking everything and they never even did it. They didn't even expand. They didn't even do the project. So now it's like overgrown and it looks super wild. We took a field trip there with like Ujima because Nick Ujima, I connected you guys on the land and
Yeah.
like nonprofit vibe. But Alana is really here for like the history too. And she was like, why is there no storytelling about this? Like, why don't people know that there was an entire public school district? Literally. And so for you to be able to educate people on the roots, is so important, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, especially as a Missourian, coming out of the public school, St. Louis public school system, I certainly was met with the thought of like, why didn't I know about this place? It's 3 hours away from St. Louis, but I can't say that if I was in a Kansas City public school, it would have been in my school books either. It's closer
Yeah.
to the Kansas City, Missouri side. This is just a story everybody in Missouri should know. And people in Stover, Missouri are proud to say that Lake Placid is in their backyard. There's a lot of history of the town supporting the construction and the building of that place, which was a mecca for, those who could afford a second property in the 30s.
Mm, I love that. It was a Mecca. And like speaking of Mecca, Ujima talks a lot about this as well, is like North City, St. Louis, and West City too. And we just got hit by this outrageous like tornado. And
Their EF3 level of five, which we need to
yeah.
be taught as well. There are five zones of a tornado, and we were right up in there.
Ah,
Yes, yes, we were impacted by a tornado Friday, May 16th. Not
yeah.
going to be a day that I forget.
Mm,
And, to think that you could watch the news in the world and see other people experiencing things, like, oh my gosh, how can I donate? How can I support? We certainly need that support. And to be in the middle of it, you realize that one, that selfish reason that I took to buy property was a good move
yeah.
because two, I can actually provide a space for people to reconnect with themselves after the pieces of their homes have fallen. And so that's what we're trying to create just through partnerships. Right now, I'm in the go tell it on the mountain phase. I am singing the song, Did You Know That Missouri Had a First Black Resort started by a Black man in 1934? I'm just ringing the bell right now because we want to create partnerships where people can have a bus trip out for a Saturday and just like you said, take a breath of fresh air. Let me move these hips and hike up this hill that I've never done. Let me learn how to shoot in a red state
Yeah.
that has legal gun rights, open carry. What does my self defense look like? How can I practice that? How can I learn to hunt? What's my first camping trip look like? These are all the
Mm,
conversations we want to own as land stewards out there. And now is the perfect time after a natural disaster to start reminding people that nature is here to heal us. Even though you look around and the trees are pretty bent up, they're gonna grow back. They are resilient. They are our models here.
yes. Yes. Yeah. Nature will never give up. It will keep going. It is so resilient. um, so patient, like unrelenting. And when you talked about this resort being founded in 1934 and trying to help families who were able to purchase a second property, just like you said, with this natural disaster, what if you don't have a second property? What if that was your only property, which is so many of our friends and family are living elsewhere because their home is gone or like beyond repair. And
Yes.
before we started, you talked about needing like 1,000 bricks to fix one of the walls. And I remember last week driving my kids through the neighborhood. I was like, I need to see this and they need to see this. My kids are 7 and 4.5. Like, you guys need to know what's happening because they're not going to teach this in school. They're not going to like really give you the real. And I talked about hemp, girl. And I was like, did you know that hemp used to make clothing and it's actually made to help buildings, and how so much of our like trash and pollution and like overconsumption is actually construction waste? Like, I think 70% of like the crap is from buildings. You know what I'm saying? And like, do you see any connection or way that hemp could help this rebuild now?
I love that question. Yeah, I certainly do. I think one thing is any water damage. So I think about, the mold resistant qualities of hemp and how it supports just absorbing water and releasing it so that your home is not filled with these toxins. There were a couple of people who said that their homes were impacted by fires. So, a tornado hits, lightning strikes, electric lines are falling, and fires hit. And hemp is known to be fire resistant. It
Mm.
will barely catch a smoke, but certainly give you enough time to gather your belongings and take heat and take shelter. There are different forms that we're seeing in the building market. We're seeing hemp wood for hemp flooring and cabinetry. We're seeing rebar for your inner walls. We're seeing hemp insulation that will replace the pink fluffy stuff in your walls.
Mhm.
And that makes your home also a temperature neutral place. It soaks the sun in the day and emits that heat in the evening. So you've got a living, breathing, uh, kind of plant that is not being used to its fullest in our state. And I think this is a missed opportunity for us right now.
100%. When I learned that like the dollar used to be made out of hemp, I was like, whoa. And like, why did they stop? Right? If this plant can make like 70 plus different materials and things, even like oil for your car, you can like work it. And I'm like, that would solve like so many problems. Like,
Yeah.
where's bad, And it grows so much faster than a tree. Like, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's infinitely more sustainable and quicker and easier to harvest and like actually manufacture.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And we're in a good position in Missouri because we have three manufacturing plants. So right
Mm.
now we're out in the community teaching farmers how to convert fields. And right now, just in the economics of it, that's the most questions we get. How much can I make? How much do I need to invest? How many acres? What will I get from those acres? And so again, same kind of go tell it on the mountain phase when it comes to hemp, because questions like, can I smoke my house? Can I get high off my house? We
What?
gotta, we gotta still help that mindset, that it's its cousin. It's
Yes.
still a strain of cannabis, and United States is behind. That's the truth of the matter. We're about 30, 35 years behind
Mm.
nations like Canada, Europe, Asia, who are building hemp factories. They're factories, they're multi-level buildings made out of hemp. And we
Oh.
just don't even grow that much here yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like a renaissance. Come here. Let's go back to the things we used to do. And like, let's remember the skills like self-defense, girl. When you talked about like open carry, like people need to know that even in situations like this. Like, I don't think FEMA's coming for real to help us. And so it's like, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And how are you going to protect yourself? Do you have basic skills like camping? They needed a lot of like tent donations and like even like stoves and propane tanks. Like, do you know how to cook? Can you start a fire?
Yes, yes, all the above, exactly. And someone had asked me, do they think that my history or just this recent 5 years living on the property helped me get through this tornado aftermath? And I had to really stop and say, yeah, I think it did. I think the way we were able to come up from the basement, this is real life. So you're coming up from the basement, you're looking on the floor in your house, you see nothing but glass, so you realize you have no windows, and you're like, okay, what does my property need to be protected right now? But also, where's my neighbor? Did my
Yeah.
neighbor make it? And so, what is the risk you're willing to take? So, yeah, you kind of arm up and you go out and you start walking around. You start looking people in the eye. You start saying,
Mhm.
are you okay? What do you need? So, how can you be with the natural disaster and yet take a step forward? And that's what nature teaches us.
Yes. Yeah, be with it and take a step forward. Whew, we talked about how in Corona, a lot of people froze 2020. They were just paralyzed, traumatized, stuck. But during this, it was immediate collective action. Like the board member meetings and calls that I was in, the group chats, the different like clubs and organizations, everybody was active, and I think that is something that proves growth. Number one, it proves that we're not going to wait for anybody. And number three, that like healing is selfish, and in that moment of isolation, we all had to be selfish, whether we liked it or not. It was like a world timeout for
Really.
a very long time, and so you have no choice but to face yourself and like, okay, what am I good at? What am I not good at? What's working? What's not working? Like, what really matters to me when like the whole world is taken away? And then this was even a step beyond that because now the shelter is taken away.
Right. Yeah.
Like, is your mind there? Are you healthy? Are you strong? Is your body like your other house, this house?
Yes. Yes, come on, align with Anna. Come on. Yes, you got to get aligned. You have to get
Ah,
aligned. And if you don't know how to ask for support, that's another big thing I'm recognizing in our communities that are matriarch driven. Definitely the matriarchs are out here, caring for their cubs and putting up
mhm.
the tents, cooking. And do we really know how to say our deepest need? Do we really know how to ask for what we desire in this moment? What do you really need? Yes, a meal is helpful because the World Food Kitchen
Yeah.
is feeding us every day. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
And when someone puts their hand out to say, "How can I help?" Are you pushing it away to say, "No, I'm good"? Are you, if you don't have something to say, are you thinking about, you know what, I'm good, but my neighbor, let's go over here to my neighbor? Because again, what are the birds doing right now? They're not every bird for themselves. They're like collectively figuring out new nest sites, new places to go. They were displaced as well. So why
Right.
should we be independent about this?
Mhm. I just had like a vision. I was like, I wonder if the birds, like if anybody was listening to like what the animals were doing right when the storm was happening. You know what I mean? Because that birds will always know first. They will see that shit from miles away and they will take off and leave and make hella noise on the way out. And I'm like, you remember in Corona when like the dolphins came back and all the animals started like enjoying their real home? And I'm like, yo, we need to know these things. And then also once you get your immediate needs fixed and you're able to vocalize it, like your throat is open and there's no shame or pride or like, I don't want to be a burden. Like, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. That's
Yeah,
how we got here. Okay.
this is how we got
That's
here.
how we got here. And so now let's go and like pour into ourselves because yeah, the emotions and like psychological things that can happen after the immediate um experience can be taxing, like super taxing. So can I go decompress? Can I do some forest bathing? Can I take a road trip?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. all of that is converging now in our projects certainly, but in our spirits.
Yeah, in our spirits, just like unapologetic worth.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Inherent value in like inner standing. Girl.
Yeah, you deserve the help. You deserve to be supported, and you deserve to still live out your dream.
Mm.
And I've got to continue being the model for that because as I whisper to myself, I'm always like, I have to remind myself there's a hand guiding my path. I didn't grow up knowing about this property in my home state. I moved from New York City trying to avoid home, really.
Hmm.
I would say Illinois. I went home adjacent. I'm close, 90 minutes away, but I'm not home yet. And to be like literally brought back to my home state to steward this, I have to keep remembering, okay, well, who else can I tell this story to that their dream can come true? If you are one, get clear about your needs. What do you need? Be selfish about that when you say it. And two, be willing to then teach from an open heart.
Mm. Yes, pay it forward.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's why I believe in reparations because reparations has this there's a lot of schools of thought here, but one way that I think about it is even just sharing the story of the land is healing in and of itself. You're like,
Mm.
wait, what? Who did this in 1930? What? He did what? And amidst all of the tensions of race that this state had, and it was
Yeah.
possible. Okay, so what can't I do now? You
Yes.
you really position yourself newly towards your dream to say, yes, I can.
Hmm. Yeah, and sometimes it's easier than you think. When you talked about moving out there and there was like little to no resistance, like nobody
Yeah.
was fighting with me and arguing with me, like they were actually like very welcoming.
It's such a good point, and I think that's where our biases get in the way, and that is why a good road trip and open travel. Missouri's a great state for this. You can be back home in 8 hours. It takes three to get to where we are. You spend another 2 or 3 there. You're back home before you're sleeping in your own bed if you want. And
Hmm.
so, what does that kind of voyage mean for our communities? How can someone, especially in the cities where we've experienced this disaster, but even in Kansas City, they're 2 hours out from Kansas City. I'm sorry, from Lake Placid. How do we say, you know what? Go out to this place I know called Lake Placid. There's a girl, she doesn't have much infrastructure, but you could take a walk with her.
Yeah.
You can go breathe in new air. Can that be our new offering of support? And
Yeah.
that's why I was so excited to come on your platform because I want people to know that yeah, if you've got the boots and you're ready to do some primitive camping, bringing your own stove, lighting your own fire, yeah, we're not that modern luxury place just yet, and we're not rushing to get there. We
Yeah.
want these basic needs, these basic skills to be checked off by all of us. Every kid should be able to say, I know how to pitch a tent and start a fire.
For real. Every single kid. Every single kid. And just the space, like holding the space and like being. I just need to be here. There's no to-do list. There's no like things. It's very minimalist. Yeah, like there's no way you won't release a lot of weight and stress. Like there's no way when everything gets removed, like
Yeah, yeah. The silence does a lot in nature, because the noise prevents us from a lot of that healing. We don't even really inspect deep enough when we're in an environment of noise. But in silence, you realize that bird, first of all, is not caring about me. It's flying, it's going along its way. And so what do I need right now?
yeah.
There's that
Ooh,
question again.
yeah, what do you really need? Um, I was just doing Portia's workbook actually. So we met through Portia Anderson, and she has a workbook that's called Unleash and Unlearn. And it's essentially like, what do you really want? And to reprogram your beliefs and really ask yourself why, like at least 5 times to get to the root. Well, why is that? And think about kids. They're always asking why, like, why? And it's like, we need to know the root or else we're never going to fix anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's where the reparative justice comes along in our work. The other thing I'll say just about the root there and our belief in reparations is you said it, it's not that hard. So what is just the conversations that we need to have, especially when you recognize it's here already in so
Mhm.
many ways? Like even the idea of land ownership by people of color in America, it's possible. It may not be free,
Uh-huh.
but it's available. And so are we waiting and that people of color already own land and
Yeah.
sometimes they don't have ideas of what to do with it. As a landowner, the more conversations I'm in are with people with land who say, I got these 5, 10 acres, I just don't know what to do with them. And I just start boiling up like, you don't know what to do with it? Like, what
Yeah.
do you mean? So
It's a playground. Yeah.
it is. And so that helps me see, oh, that's really what we lost out on when it comes to reparations. We can't even dream. We don't even know how to leverage, our model at our team is 40 projects on this 244 acres. What does 40 different reparations projects look like? Because that's the promise of land. The promise of land is having activity, it's having revenue, it's having
Mhm.
nature and human being meet as one. And so, does it have to look like a wedding venue? No.
Right.
No, it could just call it a trail, name it after someone, and keep it mowed. And that's a 4-H club could do that. A Boy Scout, Girl Scout group can do
Yeah.
that. So are we even thinking beyond the stop and, well, I don't have the land anyway. Well, guess what? What if you did? What would you want to do with it? And those are the conversations I find myself forcing in the
Mhm.
circles I'm in. Just keep, let's say you had it. Now, what would you say? And
Mhm.
we don't have a lot of language there as a community. We don't know
Mhm.
what we would do. We have a lot of dreams, but it's not practical. So you have to really look at, yeah, what would I do if I had the reparations right now? Because it's here.
It's here. Yeah. What would I do? What would I do? It's like you're so worried about getting access, but what about after? And in terms of like manifesting and the law of attraction, if you don't think further, like towards the finish line, like you're not really manifesting. You're just like, I don't know, like
Lifting.
just
Yeah.
like a little kid that's like, I want that, I want that. But then
Mm.
like you throw your toy away like as soon as you get it, like
Yes. Yes.
oh
Yes. I had a conversation with a gentleman and he was kind of dreaming. He was telling me what he would build. And I said, great. You've just taken up 1 acre. And I told you, what would you do with 244? He was like, what?
ooh,
It's
oh
like,
my God.
I got more to dream. Yes, yes, you do. You would have more to dream. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm all about, exposing just the idea of dreams can come true and your healing when you take it seriously and be selfish about healing your body. And I'm specifically talking about healing your body. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we connect because it is that inner alignment that had me be in the moment on that property and hearing myself say I can't afford it and
Mm,
knowing that that was a limiting belief in a split second.
yeah.
And what that allowed for as a future that I was able to say, oh, that was a limiting belief. Nope, that's not going to get in my way of purchasing this property. And it didn't.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I want to meet people. I want you to bring your limiting beliefs out to the land about your future and your life and your healing. I want you to bring all those prescriptions you're on. I want you to bring the pain. I want you to bring the trauma, bring all of that so that we can create bridges and translate and reframe and recontextualize and offer more spaciousness.
Mm. Offer more spaciousness. Yeah, the land is so beautiful. It's so healing. I did a really wonderful podcast. I think it was number 69 with my friend Amanda Teo. Do you know her from the Soy Joy's People's Fund?
Mm.
She's Esalen indigenous. Like her family was like born and raised like on the missions in California, like near the Bay Area. And so she is so connected, the indigenous wisdom. And like we forget. And like that was totally programmed and planned for us to totally disconnect. But when you talk about the somatic healing, like you want to check your bank account, you want to check the app, you want to see like what's up, and your body is like you can feel your shoulders and you're tense. So like, oh, I can't afford it. What body experience happens for you in
Mhm.
that moment?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Well said. It's possible, and it's here, right here, at least in Missouri. That's where we're gonna be. So, and Missouri is positioned well for all of this, not just for the hemp, the healing through medicinal cannabis, the
Mhm.
idea that in our city you don't need building permits to build, so just the ideas of earth bag homes and natural building and mud houses and
Mhm.
hay homes, all straw bale is a thing that's been around. But these
Right.
are, these are the ideas for the 40 projects that we want to partner with others on so that we can move beyond the dream, the wish for the dream. Let's make the dream come true.
Yes, let's make it come true. And another question, the 40 projects, what do you envision? Do you have like categories that you're thinking about that you want to hit with these 40?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that come into play. To be a true land steward, I think is to give up the right that your vision is the dominant one.
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, I'm working on behalf of the land. Um, I'm a conservationist first. So, how can this land be sustainable by itself? Because it's doing well by itself. We might need to unclog some creeks and cut back here, but the deer have made the trails. The beavers have made the dams. The things are there.
mhm.
And so when I think about the 40 projects, I think about me being someone who can hear, and I know I'm repeating this, but I feel it so much in me because I've had several careers. I've had the success in my careers. This is not going to, I'm not approaching this as another career. As
Mhm.
here's the big vision I have. I really do see the cooperative economic model flourishing here. I see someone saying, "Have you ever thought about a field of flowers where we could do something?" And I say, how much money would you need to start that? And are you ready to lead that initiative? I
Mhm.
really am here to bring people's dreams forth. And if land is a conduit of that for you, I want to partner with you. I want to speak to you. I want you to come and we're starting this summer, so maybe a good time to say this, but we've got a Juneteenth virtual celebration happening on Zoom this June 19th. It'll be 5 o'clock Central Time, but available globally. And we're introducing our ecosystem to everyone. So
Oh,
we've started on the 40 projects already. The hemp farm was project number one. That
mhm.
is, what we get to present. So we'll have our new product showcase. We'll also have a cabin that we purchased in the Lake Placid community. We want to tell the history of that cabin and show people what we want to do with that, how that could be our first retreat house, even if it's a solo writing retreat or, again, restoration from the storm, just
Yeah.
somewhere to stay.
Mhm.
So we'll be introducing the projects that we have so far and then making a call out for partners who want to initiate other projects by attending our monthly reparations calls.
Mhm.
That will begin in August. So, kind of right at the start of the school year, we'll get those going. And we'll be talking about everything from buying land, putting land in trusts, having your
Nice.
property. What does well water look like? Plumbing, all of that to history. What did Dr. PC Turner do to start this land? And let's not forget that. So we're excited to kind of be going to market this year in our fifth year as an ecosystem.
Oh my goodness. This is so well-rounded, girl. Literally. It really touches all the foundational aspects to be successful.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I can see a future where healers like yourself are hosting retreats there, and it's like, oh yeah, like you would be able to say, I have a retreat space. Like
mhm.
that's the type of connection we want with people who have communities. Why should we have to build it on our own?
Yeah. No, that's too much. Yeah.
It's too much. I agree.
Too much. Yeah, like we have that's the scarcity, right? Like we're so much more abundant than we think. Just go hang out with some trees, call your friends, introduce your friends to each other. Like that's how this entire podcast happened. Like, and yeah, but it's all about like answering the call. Like, are you listening and are you like prepared? Have you handled what you need to handle so you can act?
Yes, yes, yes. I could have certainly doubted myself and turned around in so many parts of this story, and not really made it back to Missouri after the land deal fell through in Illinois. I could have said, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm going back to New York. I tried." It just didn't work out, and that would have been my story.
Mm,
I tried to be the farmer. But it was the pandemic, and it could have been very valid reasoning.
right.
And yeah, I would have been lying to myself, my authentic self, which as an executive leadership coach, what do my clients pay me for if I'm not out here living what I teach?
Right. This is not going to work. Um, oh my goodness. Okay, this is so good. The leadership is felt, like holistic leadership, embodied leadership. Um, okay, Brendalyn, will you share some final thoughts? Has anything been on your mind or your heart lately? Is there something you want people to know?
So the thing that I think has been coming to my heart, especially since our city is impacted by a tornado, and as a land steward as well. I'm here to remind people that you can pick up the pieces of your life. It is natural for our lives to feel like they have breaks in different seasons. And admittedly, I had a broken spirit coming out of the tornado. I had to cancel a lot of my clients. I didn't have the capacity to be with many more people.
Yeah.
And I think that the duration of time that I stayed in that broken spirit certainly helps me say this message right now, but just encouraging each of us to make a real request for what we need and start picking up the pieces of our life because our dreams are just around the corner.
Mm,
And if there's any way that land can support healing, go find a retreat, go find a mountain, a creek to go sit by, because the answers will come to you in that environment.
mm. Perfect. Yeah. And the seasons, honoring the seasons, like Mother Earth, Pachamama has all the seasons. So why are we swimming upstream? You know what I mean? Like this applies to you too. As a living being, this is how it goes.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes, we are that. We're a part of it. Interdependent.
Interdependent. Yeah, it's an ecosystem. Okay, so Brendalyn, share how can we reach you? How can we keep in touch with you? And I'm gonna put all this in the show notes.
Okay, so let's start with our Salem Hemp Kings on all platforms. Salem, Salem, Hemp, Hemp, Kings, Kings. And just to note, it's not an ego play, but my last name is King, so we named the business Hemp Kings.
Yes.
That's on all platforms. And then our Rep Project 40 is just that. So on Instagram is REP underscore project 40. And on Facebook, it's all together, REPPROJECT 40. So Rep Project 40, that's where you'll get the information about the Juneteenth Zoom link. And finally, you can find me at brendalynking.com. I've got a digital community where I support women in healing from bleeding fibroids, which is what had me move out of New York City. So I'm
Yeah.
supporting a small group of women through my website there, and that's where you can find me.
That's so beautiful, girl. Oh, okay. I'm so grateful. This has been so beautiful, so moving, so timely, so needed. I so appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Really great to be here and share a conversation with you.
Yes. Okay, guys. So be sure to check the show notes and we'll see you next time. Thank you. If you're looking for the most ethical, powerful, and magical fucking aromatherapy on the planet, so you can be a better bitch and just like totally fucking taken care of, I got the shit for you. I created this skincare line as an extension of my high school senior project. All natural aromatherapy experience because that's what we did back in the day. On our priestess, bad bitch, queen shit, we used oils, the purest fucking oils that not only penetrated your skin, it anointed you. Waking up first thing in the morning, clearing yourself between meetings, before you pick up your kids, that's the kind of shit I'm on. Almost like if you were saging, but you don't need a lighter. So let me introduce you guys. These make beautiful gifts. A holiday gift, for a Valentine's gift, or a galentine for your clients. A sister circle, somebody's birthday coming up. I also have an affiliate program. So if you want to sign up and you want to be a brand ambassador for Align with Anna, you get paid. To learn more about that, please go to alignwithanna.com/get paid and let's grow together. You can also shop wholesale, Etsy, and Shopify. As a mom, as someone who really values her self-care and her routine, I use all of these daily and it's gonna come in a sweet little box. I will put some beautiful tissue in there. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Shop today.